Hello, 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 everybody. My name is Jackson Black. Welcome to another exciting and thrilling, chilling, maybe, I don't know, episode of the Jackson Black Show. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers, like everybody that does everything on Pandora, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything. Well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, here is your here is your guest tonight, Jason Genesis.
Yes, sir.
Revel, you better revel. Revel in his greatness, okay, ladies and
That is
gentlemen.
correct. How you
How are
doing?
you guys how are you guys doing tonight?
Good, man. Good to see you. Thanks for having us on. This is actually my first podcast.
Oh really?
Yeah, but I've always wanted to do one, and no one's just ever asked me. So you're the first one. Congratulations.
I feel honored. I feel honored.
You should be for sure.
Okay, so let's just jump right into the whole thing. What made you fall in love with this business?
Man, just like most of us, growing up watching it as a kid, it it was captivating. It was like real life superheroes. I grew up in the '90s. So I was born in 1991, and so like I started watching right when like the NWO took off. So I didn't see Hogan turn, but like when I entered the world of wrestling, it was just a reign of terror by the NWO, and it was still like so because of that. And then like when Sting came, that was it. Like that, I did see like a big first return, but it's Sting and all that, and that was like I was in at that point. So I followed that feud and stuff. Starrcade '97 was my first pay per view, and just been hooked. To be honestly, I hooked through most of my childhood and up to like middle school and stuff like that. But like a lot of people fell off and then hop back on the wagon lately.
And people don't understand what they missed during that time. There was like some good stuff going on.
Absolutely, yeah. And I have gone back and I'm well versed in everything that's happened. I probably fell off around 2005 for a decade or so, but I
Dude,
did go back and see
me
all that
too.
stuff. So yeah. I mean, you get into high school, and then you got to
Uh,
pick what you're going to get into. And there's only so much time for so many things.
yeah, for sure.
And then,
Oh,
being honest, it went through a less cool period. After the Attitude Era, and then when the what was the next one? Ruthless Aggression. Well, after that one, then that's when things kind of started tapering off for a lot of people, I think.
yeah. I loved like 2015 was like fun. Like I went back and watched. That was a fun time
See, that
because it was
was
just
right
wild.
before I started watching again, so I guess I missed that.
That was like the whole like Helmsley regime with like when they were like they kept going around. It's best for business. It's best for business.
Yeah.
Like can't go. And corporate Kane was always just That's my favorite version of Kane. Besides like him as a dentist.
Oh God. See, I don't know about the corporate Kane. I definitely probably the early stuff when he was like Jason ripoff, basically straight from hell. But that again has to do with like nostalgia is like a very powerful drug.
Oh, it is.
So,
And I'm following it right now. I don't know when it happened, but I became that guy. Like I remember when I first got in. I don't know if it happened to you, but right when I first got in, I was like still watching everything recent, and
mm.
now now it's like a year and a half or whatever it is in, and I'm just like I'm like I don't know if I'm cynical or whatever it is, but I'm watching 97, 98 WCW right now.
Yeah, I say I go back and I watch a lot of those pay per views, like falling asleep and stuff. So like it's just nostalgia gives me peace. But there's a lot of good stuff though, so I like always fall asleep watching that good stuff, like Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero, Halloween Havoc, and stuff like that. The
That
classic.
is that's my in my heart match. I do too many things from that match. Oh, so if you had to pick like a match that maybe, but what was okay, here we go. What do you think the match was that kind of got you back into being like, oh, okay, I like this.
See, when I came back was probably, I'm bad at recalling years, probably it's 2016, 2017. And I remember some of the stuff that was stuck out the most was like Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano when they started having like their long blood feud and all that. Like all that stuff was just like so impressive because they brought back a lot of athleticism that really a lot of stuff that I hadn't seen before. And I'd never seen like the strong style stuff. And so that was really it. And just watching a lot of that, it's like that's when I kind of was like, I wonder, like, I really do this. I've always been kind of an athletic guy. I played football and stuff like that, and uh, kind of you miss some contact sooner or later, and so that's really what you're like, could I do this? Can I handle it? So it's kind of like a challenge for me, and then fell in love with it once I got into it. You always got to have like a challenge, something to strive for.
I totally agree. Every answer you've given so far has been like an answer I would give, and it's kind of, because you hit on Starcade '97 and then Eddie and Ray at the Halloween Havoc. I literally have been. It's just crazy. I was just talking about these like yesterday, so
Right.
it's just wild.
Those classic stuff, it's a lot to do with our age and like where it hits us. Because you're the same age as me, right? Right.
I'm older.
Oh, are you? Oh, you look good.
Yeah.
You look good.
I try. I'm gonna be like the boogeyman, and I'm gonna trick people, and I'm gonna tell them I'm like a certain age, and I'll also be like 15, 10, 12 years older.
Yeah,
Did you
maybe
know
you'll be
that
like
sto
Jimmy Hart and be like one that never ages.
right? Have you heard that story of the boogeyman?
Uh-uh.
It's a wild. So he went for his tryout. He told him he was 10 years younger. I think he told him he was like 38. So they
Ah.
found out, like I think it was like Patterson or somebody found out, and they were just like irate. Told him to go home. Well, Vince like saw his stuff like on like I guess they filmed it. He wasn't there, and he goes, "Where's that guy at?" And they're like, "We sent him home because he lied about his age." And Vince's like, "Get him back here."
Oh wow. Huh.
So
That's
he
cool
was
for
like,
him. Yeah. And I get it too. That's like, I mean, entering the business pretty late. I've only been in for 3.5, going on 4 years. And like, I got in at 29 or 28 or 29. And so like, I feel that like, you feel like a ceiling is capped on you just because of that, the way it is now.
I that is that I guess for maybe like a WWE output, but I feel like if you generate the buzz and you have the name, like, and you can get the name going, there's literally no it. If the body holds up, there's no
Right.
like
That too.
end.
Yeah.
There's no end unless you want there to be one, because it may not be WWE, but it could be like an MLW or heck, I think it could be an ROH or something like that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's like, I'm not saying that I don't have any further up that I could go by any means at all. Like, but just you know what I'm saying. That's just because like you're saying exactly right. The WWE standard now, like you got to be like fresh out of college or out of high school, like early 20s, or they're hardly looking at you. Which supposedly they changed that, but with all the changes that went back to the way they were that haven't been publicized, they probably went back to that as well.
You just have to become like I don't know who said it, you just got to be undeniable. Like if you
Yeah.
are if you are the draw, it doesn't. I don't think it'll matter at any point. Like because they're like, okay, that's money.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Because if you don't put a ceiling on yourself, you're absolutely right, man.
Because there's action Mike Jacksons and crazy things out there. So you just like,
Yeah. I mean, like DDP is the one everybody goes to. I think he
oh,
started
that's
35 or 36.
I remember him coming out. I think it was like AEW. It was like early days, and he's like diamond cutter and people. It was wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't watching AEW as much then. They were doing a little too much, and I couldn't follow it.
They still are doing a little bit too much.
I know.
And
Yeah,
in the
I,
eyes
I
of
don't. I watch. I try to keep up with the pay-per-views that I can and stuff. But other than that, like I keep up with stuff through the podcast, but I don't watch it on the regular all the time.
I feel that it's so hard. There's just so much material out
That's
there.
it, for sure.
Okay, so this is one. No, I'm not gonna place it. I'm gonna place this one later. No, I guess right now. Okay, so let's go. Let's go that very first match. Do you remember how you felt like maybe that day? And then let's go right before the curtain, and then however it went. How did you feel coming back from that?
Okay, I can remember very vividly. So like I broke into the tag team. My partner at the time, name was Travis Wolf, and we had like a choreographed entrance of sorts, and like that was the main thing I was worried about. Like, do not trip on that. It was like a jump over the top rope at the same time. Wasn't really fancy, but just like first time doing anything like athletic like that in front of people was like that was the main thing that I was worried about, running through my head a lot. What was the next part of the question? The right before the
Uh,
curtain.
yes. How'd you feel right before?
Right before the curtain. Probably just nervous. We didn't have a whole lot called. It wasn't much to remember, so that wasn't the way I was brought in. It was more. work on the fly and things like that. So we just had a few high spots. I was really fortunate to be working with a tag team called The Stray with Corey Daniels and Cody Dean. So that neither one of them are working right now, but some of the people watching this probably know who they are. And they were really good to be working with early on. Like they taught us a lot, and they gave us just enough to like remember and keep up with, but not too much of it overwhelming. And so, so overall, my first match was a good experience. And like I look back at it now, I'm like, oh my god, but still, like it was a positive experience for sure. Didn't come back getting yelled at or anything like that.
See, that's always a plus.
Yes.
It's definitely a plus. Okay, so since you mentioned the tag team wrestling, so you've been in tag team, you were a tag team wrestler, and now you're making, like, you're not even making, you're just like you're beating people up, and that's what you do right now. You're champion. You're like you're the guy. You're being the guy. So what was that transition like from going from a tag team wrestler to being like solo top guy type thing?
So I always wanted to be singles when I started. The way I broke in, it just made perfect sense to start as a tag team, and it is good. It is a good way to learn, and it helps you, keep a little bit of the pressure off of you, and you get more time to think and kind of prepare yourself. And you can learn a lot from watching from the apron as well. So I was fortunate to have that, and that tag team actually didn't last that long. But I was in several. I was pretty much a tag team wrestler for the first year and a half of my career. Was just like a small singles spurt in there. What's the next part of the question? It's hard. Those are long questions.
I know, my bad, dude. What was the transition to moving from a tag team to like
Like I
a
said,
solo
so
guy?
I always wanted to be a singles, so it was very welcome. I mean, it was all my idea. Like one of the things that like is just had to get everything together, like as far as putting gear together and getting, which I didn't do a very good job in the merchandise. It's something I'm working on now, actually. But the transition was great because like I had everything planned out. I knew I was bringing my goddess in, who's been very quiet, but I mean, questions are directed to me, so I get it. But she'll step in when she's ready. But like we had all that stuff planned out, and like with the new gear, she got me like my jacket, which I love, and then like we had that set up for the first time, and uh, it was it was a real smooth transition too. I feel like my early matches went well, like in transition to what I'm doing now is it's a lot more fun for sure.
And the crazy thing is I met you when you had all like the tie dye stuff on.
Yeah,
With your I met you guys. It was my graduation. It was USA Championship Wrestling.
yeah, dark
Or
days.
USA
Oh, my
Wrestling,
brother
whatever it
club
was
with the
called.
dark days.
And I look over at you guys and I was like, "Hey, I like your colors." That's the only thing I remember saying. But like, and then pop up and now like, "Oh, dude, that's tight." Dude, because the transition that you've been through is like you're in really phenomenal shape right now, brother.
I appreciate it.
So
Yeah, I was a little bigger then, so that was actually part of making the change. Like I wanted to have a better body by the time I got there, so like I had a lot of time to prepare for it, and I did cut. Like so, I was by the end of the tag team run, I was like on a bulk and working out a certain way and eating like that, and then I did start cutting. Like I really wanted the abs to pop in by the time I got to the change, and so like all that was great. Thanks, appreciate the compliment by the way.
okay, so now we'll switch this one since you mentioned her.
Uh,
So what? How did you ever envision being in the wrestling business at any point?
Not at all. No.
no, for sure not.
I didn't grow up watching wrestling.
No, she became a fan as an adult. Like I kind of when I got back into it as an adult, like I just kind of made her watch it.
Yeah.
So do you think it's? I mean, I guess it's because it's very exciting. You just get to. I mean, if you go from like, okay, I'm just sitting on the couch, and then now it's a Saturday night, and you're choking some poor sap on a top rope. It's just it's a pretty crazy thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has a really good mind for the business because like once I started breaking into it, and like I mean she's my best friend, so I'm talking to her all the time, and she really picks up on it. So like the way she critiques things as well, like she has a good mind for it. Like I wouldn't have wanted her with me if I didn't think she could handle it. But she did a really great job. I'm proud of her for it.
No.
Because there are very bad people. Like I'm not gonna say any names,
No.
but I've seen some man or woman, it doesn't matter, manager, valet, like however it goes. There's like certain points where there's cues and there's like spots and there's things. I don't want to give anything really away, but if I'm going over here to the ref and we're talking and you're just right there, just punch that guy in the
Oh
face.
yeah, I'll take
Absolutely.
you know. I'm just catching a breather, but she sees the opportunity.
I've seen guys just be like talking to somebody over here, and they're like, "Oh," and then it's gone before it even started. Like,
Yeah, I mean that happens a lot, but it is dependent on the managers. They gotta be with it. They gotta be ready to respond.
yeah, someone tried to put me with a manager, and I was like, no, no, no. I was like, I don't need a manager. They're like, he's gonna talk for you, and I was like, talk for me? I
No,
don't need that. I don't need that either.
no,
Like,
no, you don't want to be handicapped. No, for sure.
no.
Like this works. I was looking for a weapon, so I've learned a way to hone it as much as I can.
I have seen it on multiple occasions. It works. With
Yeah.
Pivotal, it works really well.
Yeah,
I
I
like
paid
it.
off at least twice as a double champion right now. So at least twice. Maybe not all the time.
So who were the kind of guys that maybe you styled your in-ring work towards? Because I know I heard a line. It was if you're borrowing from one person, it's stealing. But if you're borrowing from multiple people, it's not stealing
Yeah,
anymore.
it's inspiration. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, that saying is true in music as well. But so I mean, there's a lot of people. If I'm going to be honest, what I've modeled my single style after a lot. I was preparing for a match with Davey Richards for a long time, and I love just the ruthlessness of so much of his offense and stuff like that. So I'm like a really big fan of his, and it was my first like big match with like a big name. So like a lot of those things kind of really imprinted on me. So I'm not gonna lie, I've taken a lot of that stuff. So, but I changed it to like match my gimmick a little bit more and things like that. That was one right there. Who else? Who do you think? Who do you think I wrestle like?
Mm. I don't know.
Oh God.
I'll tell you mine.
Okay.
Osprey-ish. You do some Osprey-ish
See,
things.
I don't really watch New Japan, so
Well, you guys are.
really by happenstance.
It's not a bad comparison, my guy.
I hear great things. Yeah, like I said, it's just so much to keep up with, and that's just not one that I can squeeze in.
Yes, yeah. It's like the way you do it. You're because I watch the matches, so it reminds me of that, and it's like those guys. There's like I'm not gonna blow any more smoke, so that's
Okay.
it. That's all you're getting
I
from me.
get the Rollins comparison a whole
That's
lot.
just because you guys like
I think so
look
too.
like
I
each
think it's
other.
like profiling like white guys with long hair and beards, like this. But no, who else do I got? I don't know. I think I've just studied so much that I would like to think it's a blend. Like, I mean, obviously, I've shamelessly stolen a lot of things, and then or just make it like I can't talk, a slight tweak on it, like the buckshot lariat, but instead throw like a back elbow instead of its clothesline, things like that. So just mix and match and blend. Like, I don't know. I guess up to who's ever watching to say who Jason Genesis wrestles like.
Yeah, dude, I get the Rollins just because of the attitude, the what you bring into the ring. I could see Rollins there, and that's not even profiling at all. Like,
No, and I don't take it as as an insult at all either.
No.
I think clearly he's one of the greats out there right now. He's just won the championship lately, and so I mean that's a strong comparison to have. I get it all the time from fans and stuff like that because of it. Like, so like I don't say it wrong, but I mean he is a great wrestler for sure. He's one of my favorites. So I'm sure the influences are there. Even my finish is very similar to his.
So okay, so we were talking about music, and I know we were talking about music a little bit. Like, my week's just blended. It was only like 2 days ago. It was like 2 days ago. It's like I'm an idiot. Like,
Oh, well, just
but
I'm not the best at it either.
yeah.
It goes to the blur.
So, where do you find your do you because I know you got to find inspiration from things. Do you ever find inspiration from music that you kind of translate into wrestling or from wrestling into music?
Well, so the one thing is a lot of people don't know that before I was in wrestling, my big like passion in life was music. So I was a musician, and she is too. She was a singer. We were in a band for 3 or 4 years like that, and did a whole lot with that, and had a great time doing that. So that's the transition I made was from music to wrestling. So the music that we come out to now is actually written and performed by us, and she sings it and all that. So there's one big thing right there.
Yeah, and you
But
get custom music.
additionally, as far as wrestling work, would be sometimes in promos, you can find some great inspiration from lyrics in promos.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I could see that totally, totally. So, um, where was I gonna go? Who do you think has been your let's go with your toughest opponent in the in this business so far?
Toughest? Hmm. Okay. So, I mean, I've had some great feuds along the way, so we can go, reverse chronologically. I mean, everyone would probably expect me to mention Perky Will for sure. We've definitely had a lot of battles. He will not leave me alone. He follows me everywhere we go. We got to have a big match, and usually turns out in my favor most of the time. So there's one that sticks out for sure. Marco Harris, he's just now recently become a problem for me at EPW again, but he also given me some great matches in the past, I guess about a year ago now. Who else? Trace Hunt, of course, one of the top guys at EPW for many, many years, currently out of action. But I don't know. What else we got? Who do you think? Who's some of my greatest rivals?
You've named.
I know a few. Oh, and then if I go further back in my career, Honcho Hensley. I got to give a big shout out to Honcho. He doesn't run on this side of like Tennessee and Mississippi and things like that very often. But we had many, many matches. We were working for Burt Prentice at the time, and just had a lot of big matches with any stipulation you can name it. They just kept ramming us together. And let's see. I'm sure there's more. I feel bad for anybody I'm leaving out. But I've also had a lot of tag team feuds as well. Like the LA Hustlers. When I was with Perky, we had a lot of battles with them. I guess that's all I can name of right now. But I'm sure I'm gonna offend somebody. But hopefully not. If I'm missing you, you did what we did.
So would you, I know you guys just like dissolved as tag team, but like when I think of you and Perky, I think of you guys as like just like you just go around to everywhere. You're like a Sammy and Kevin. You're like, you're like okay, we're friends, and then I'm gonna just be
Yeah, well, that's the way things go sometimes. It does seem that way. I think he just likes to follow me everywhere and keep being a thorn in my side.
But at the end of the day, that's good. It's got to be it'll be cool down later. You'll be like, oh man, we really did. We just went everywhere and just beat the crap out of each other, and this is a great time. Like those are those stories that there's always that one guy that follows you. There's always that one person.
Yeah,
I have like two of them, and they just end up following me wherever I go.
Right.
And we always fight. I love it. It's just it is crazy because you just find that.
Yeah,
And
I know what you mean.
there's only so many of us, which is crazy because you just like you end up seeing each other in weird spots,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just like, oh, I didn't even know you're. How you doing, buddy? I haven't seen you in like 2 years.
Yeah, and you definitely get those bonds that last a long time, and it's like you might work a couple shows with somebody and get pretty close with someone, and then they disappear, and then you come back and you see them months later, maybe even years later, and it's like, hey, buddy, how you doing? Like never missed a beat.
It is. It's such a crazy business like that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that makes it great.
There's so many love you brothers that I hear on like the constant like. I'm guilty of it too. I do the same damn thing.
Yeah.
But like, it's crazy because like I've talked to a couple of these guys and I've met them. Like we've like hung out and they're like around their wife and or girlfriend and they're like, all right, bye. and then you leave, and they're like, "Love you, brother." Like,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
oh, I've noticed it. It's a crazy world out there. Okay, so we go into the fun stuff now. We're
Uh,
going to some fun stuff. Okay, so I have been, I've traveled on the road a couple times. I've done my fair share of long drives, and like, there's always weird stuff sometimes that happens. Funny, sad, whatever it may be. But what was a couple of good road stories that have happened to you?
Ooh, there's so
road
many.
stories. One I can think of would be we used to run in Dixon a lot, and we went to the same Waffle House like all the time. We had the same waitress every time. We got like we had a lot of good times with that because like crazy stuff in Waffle House would be going on, but she would always take good care of us and stuff like that. That's one that sticks out for sure. And one time when she wasn't there, when we went back, and we never went back to that Waffle House.
Yeah.
I'm done with this place.
Yeah, I wish. Who can blame her?
Yeah, I feel that. So, traveling and wrestling, do you find it hard? I guess not, because you guys are like always, I guess you're mostly together, so.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like that was the biggest thing. Like we always did music together before, and then she was pretty much at all the shows before she was part of the show, and it just made sense. So I mean, we do everything together. Like we
Sick.
are the power couple that we show everyone that we are.
I was like thinking about the question as it was formulating in my head, and I was like, you know what, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for this situation.
Right now,
So that's pretty cool. So
yeah,
how do you'll look back on this too, because you got to take this journey with someone else, like with her. Like a lot of people don't get that. It's sometimes it's a sad road. It's like I've touched on it very slightly, but like it's like this business, acting, I think cooking and a couple other things have just like very high mortality rates because people just they get so sad and they get so depressed and they're on the road by themselves and they're doing 16, 17, 18 hours or whatever it is. So, dude, that's awesome. You got a good like support system and like that always helps.
yeah, definitely, yeah, for sure.
I looked up that statistic and I was just like, ooh, it's brutal because you don't hear about it as much as you would think, but like all that bad mojo is just like whatever there's like a high tension situation is kind of like a that's up there in those that fields. It's terrible to hear though. Anyways, I try to put that out there because somebody told me to just keep mentioning it, and I was like, I will.
Yeah, I got it.
So if you had the opportunity to get in the ring, go toe to toe, nose to nose with anybody all time in the history of the world, who would you get in the ring with?
Gonna go with the one that was probably just because he's my biggest idol as a kid, and that would be Goldberg. Just because I would want to see how well I could make that match really go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I Even though as great as I am, it is Goldberg. So probably it's gonna go a certain way, and I just want to make sure that it goes that way in the best way possible.
Which Goldberg would you want? Would you want like beginning Goldberg WCW no
Of course.
pyro or like peak of the streak Bill Goldberg?
Probably peak of the streak for sure. I feel like that was when he was the smoothest. That's when I was the most excited for him for sure. Like every single week he comes out, who's taking the spear and the jackhammer tonight?
Right? He was just decimating everybody.
So dominant, and it was so captivating for me at the time.
I want to know really if the record was as high as it was, or if they just were just like every couple of weeks they'd add like a three to it, maybe two
I'm
more.
pretty sure it was inflated a little bit. I mean, who knows about the house shows? So I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of those back in those days, but I'm
Oh
sure
yeah,
it was inflated.
because they were doing the same. Like there's a guy in AEW. I don't know how it went, but he was getting built like Goldberg. It was Wardlow, this
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
Wardlow, and he was getting the same like when they were doing the
Mm-hmm.
Goldberg.
Oh yeah,
He was getting that same treatment, and then I just saw recently. I was listening to Jim Cornette on the way up to EPW, and he was just like,
big corny fan.
I didn't used to be, but okay. So here's a really funny thing. Uh, I had never listened to I had never listened to Jim Cornette really. I'd seen like his work around the ring and all the things that he did, but I never really heard him like uncensored and raw. And
Mhm.
so I do this show with the dude out here, that Wrestle Talk show. I had no idea that the guy that ran that show was like Terry Landell, right?
Ah, okay.
So Jim Cornette tells the story about Terry Landell. Apparently he used to run like opposite him. Like if Jim was like in a coliseum, he'd be in a parking lot across the street.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
so he so apparently he'd pushed and pushed and kept doing this. One time he got on top of their arena with a ladder somehow, and like that was the only way to get up there. And he
Mhm.
started throwing flyers to his show off of Cornette's building. And so it gets so good. So like right here, I think it was like Broadway in Knoxville. Uh, Jim Cornette sees Terry Landell because he's wearing like this yellow suit. So he's like, I'm gonna go kill that motherfucker.
I can only imagine.
So he gets out with his like wife or girlfriend or whatever it is, and Terry Landell just goes running down the street in a big yellow, bright yellow suit. Like so he's running down, and so they can't catch him. He's got security, so Cornette gets back in the car, and his wife gets back in the car, and Terry Landell runs by and he maces his wife.
Oh my god. Oh,
I had no
I
idea.
can't believe I haven't heard about this.
It's crazy story, but
Yeah.
I just thought it was so weird that I'm like associated with the show where this guy. I would love to like just say that once to like Jim Cornette, be like, "Hey, you remember Terry Landell? I actually run his stupid show that he used to do." Like,
Oh, and then he would hate you probably.
yep, he would. We were talking about
You cussing
what
them.
he would call somebody. So what do you think Jim Cornette would give you as your nickname? Because you know he always does like stupid, dumb nicknames for everybody.
Oh, I'm probably
Jason Genius.
yeah, probably something like that. Especially if I did something that he thought was stupid.
I know what mine would be. It would be Jackson, go back.
Probably.
Oh man, but yeah, Cornette is just it's hard to. Some things are wild, but
Yeah, I look at he's like my wrestling grandpa, even though he doesn't know me. It's like there's a lot of wisdom there, and he's gonna. You just gotta agree or disagree with him. Like you don't gotta hate him for
right.
certain. So, but there is definitely a lot of wisdom there, and I just enjoy listening to him talk. It makes me laugh.
He captures you, and you're just like, whoa. And 45 minutes are gone, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
Mhm.
Like the podcast is so long, but they like fly by.
They're so interesting too. I very much enjoy them.
Yeah,
Very good stuff.
good for
So do
killing.
he's so who do you think? No, that's not what I want to ask. That was dumb. My bad. So, what's your what do you think your goal? Where do you see yourself maybe in like 5 years or so? What's like where would you like to be?
I don't know, man. I do want to spread my wings a little bit. Been kind of swimming the same waters for a long time. Um, I try to be a responsible champion, so I try to be at every event that I carry the belt for. So as long as I'm doing that, I don't really plan on going elsewhere. But after that, I mean, I'm definitely going to spread my wings. I got some other places I want to go. I haven't worked for New South yet. I haven't worked for CCW. Those are two that I definitely have my eyes on. Um, as far as like above that, I haven't really thought much past that.
I love
Enjoy what
CCW.
I'm doing. I'm a weekend warrior. Like I know where I'm at, and it's that's what's working for me.
Okay, okay. I mean,
And I'm
who
just
knows? You
trying
just
to
never
rule
know.
my own roost.
Yeah, you just never know. You just never you really never know
Yeah,
what'll happen.
Yeah. And I mean, with opportunities that present themselves with the match, it's the match that sells it for me. Like if I can get the a match full with, just, I don't have anybody in mind. Just if it's a very compelling match, then that's what's going to get me to want to try to get to a different place or further out.
I feel that. There's some guys that I want to lock up with. There's one that I feel like I'm gonna pull the trigger, and I might as well. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it away. I'll give it away.
Okay.
So I heard that it is possible, maybe slightly possible, to wrestle David Arquette.
Really?
So
I didn't know if he was still working or not.
I
He
heard
did
that
a lot of stuff for a while.
he was. It was crazy because what a redemption story that was. That was great.
Yeah,
I'm glad he
yeah.
got to redeem himself. So, what do you think the most grueling part of this business is besides the bumps and all of that?
Definitely travel for sure, and also having to do whatever happens to you on the weekend, you got to live with through the week, kind of thing, and that is also difficult. But other than that, to travel
Yeah.
and
I
be
it,
on the fans.
my I remember when I was a kid, they would ask like, "Oh, what would you like your superpower to be?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I'd love to fly."
Yeah,
But now, I think I just want to be able to teleport somewhere. Like
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be
I
quicker for sure.
just
just be there.
where'd you wrestle? I wrestled in like 6 countries today. It was
Yeah,
pretty cool.
exactly. You get all your reps in that way and save your
Oh
call.
man. Oh yeah, that'd be great. So who would you I do this sometimes. Everybody steals it now, so it kind of feels like corny to do it, but we'll do it anyway. Just so
Okay.
people get more of a look inside of the mind of Mr. Jason Genesis here. Uh who's your Mount Rushmore dudes? Like who's your guys?
Okay, so it really it depends on the category of what I'm looking at them because especially now that I'm in the business, I watch it with a different eye. So if if I'm looking at it from like the ones that I grew up loving the most and which have like the most really got me to feel the most would be probably like Sting and Goldberg and Diamond Dallas Page and one of those cruiserweights like even Benoit or Guerrero back in the day. You know, like those are the ones that kind of got me to feel the most that I put up there. Let's say Guerrero for the sake of it. So those would be my top four for that. As far as top four like in ring workers, that's a whole other question there. So I got to go with Davey Richards, huge fan, and just his intensity and the way what he does between the ropes is just I very have a high respect for it. We also got Brian Danielson. I'm gonna say Daniel Bryan, for sure. Between the ropes, who else? Four. That's a lot on the spot. Now I'm pulling out 8 people.
You did. You did it to yourself.
I know. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. I should have asked the question better. All right. Let's just go with those. Let's just
Okay.
stop. I'm just digging too hard.
I like it. I like it. You so that you were probably my first guest, and from the way you answered that question, you were a WCW guy, it sounds
For
like.
sure. For sure. Growing up, absolutely. Yeah. I was not allowed to watch the WWF at the time.
Yeah, because it was like bra and panty on a pole matches or
Yeah.
mud matches or whatever it was.
There was a lot of that, and they let a lot more of the swear words go. I grew up in a pretty strict household, and so WCW was the one that was permitted. And they did stuff that they were like change the channel. They watched it with me, so they would change the channel during certain things, but they let me go and watch that. Overall, family enjoyed it.
Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner.
Yeah, see, there at the end, especially.
Oh, Scott was wild. Oh
Yeah.
man.
I remember this one time that they just like they gave him the microphone. He said 2 words and it just bleeped. I feel like it bleeped for 2 minutes straight. They just let it keep going and going and just like
Oh, he still is. He's a wild man. I've heard the most insane things come out of his mouth. I remember one he just had purple on, and the first time you ever saw him in purple, he looked like the Godfather, and he's like, "I'm the I'm the purple prince" or some weird crap that Scott Steiner would say, and then he never ever wore purple again.
Just trying it out. It didn't get over. Change it up.
Oh, he was a wild one. His
For sure.
he got his I tell this story like a couple times, but I remember when he showed up with the head the whole chainmail gimmick that pretty much personified Scott Steiner from
Right.
now to from then. Apparently he was in an airport and he saw it on like a mannequin and he just bought it at the airport.
And then he wore it for 20 years.
Where the hell what airport had chainmail headpieces though?
I
That's
don't
like my
know.
thing. Oh man. So you've been in the business for a minute now. Uh what's so you said Davey Richards. Uh what do you think that was that solidifying match where you're like, man, I'm doing pretty good right now. What was that match that made that click?
Um, Honestly, it was a match in which I absolutely hated it. And at the end of the match, I was laying down, looking up at the lights, and was very pissed off at what had happened. And then when I got to the back, I talked to who I would call the agent about what happened and made all my complaints about what was going on. And he just like, yep, you're absolutely right. This should happen. This should happen. He told me that the people that I was in there with basically made it awful. And I basically, I got shut down every time I was trying to do anything that was trying to take it a certain way. But because I got validation from like the Asian man that was when I kind of knew, I was like, okay, I can kind of start being a little bit more assertive and get my ideas out there a little bit more. It's clicking. I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah,
So
it takes a while to just like
yeah, I learned a lot in defeat that night.
it happens, and the golden rule is you're really only as good as the person you're in there with. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can only
It takes two to tango, and you gotta dance it the right dance.
is correct. Is very correct. So we've done road stories, we've done all that good jazz. Here's okay. Oh, we're at been 42 minutes. Okay, sheesh. Okay, so I'm gonna hit you with let's do social media so people can follow you and get all that good stuff.
If I'm being honest, social media is the greatest weakness in my professional wrestling game. I
We
don't
have
care if
talked.
you're a fan of me or you think I suck. That's my greatest weakness, and I don't do it a whole lot. So I'm working on that. Mostly just Facebook. That's where I do all my posters and flyers and stuff like that. I have dead accounts everywhere else. But I am resolving. Like, even this being my first podcast, I'm gonna try to pick that up here in the near future. I got a plan. I got some new merchandise coming and stuff like that.
I got a bunch of dudes to that ask different questions than I ask, and I got a bunch of them that I'm friends with, and I'll just shoot you to them, and then they'll get in contact with you, and then see how that goes.
Okay, I appreciate it, man.
Oh, for sure, dude. I've only ever tried to be in this. Like, yes, it's a you business, but it's also kind of like a team business because
Definitely, yeah.
one thing can't. It's like it kind of just builds
Yeah,
everybody together.
and a lot of people have like the feast or famine mindset, and that's not what it is. Like
No,
we're all,
because I've always tried to help. I always, man, I that's like my motto. I was like, if I can get there and I can get you there too, then fuck. Like I'll try my best until you burn the bridge, or until that
right,
happens.
right.
'Cause there's a lot of terrible people.
A lot of shady people and shysters in every business,
It is. It comes with life.
but
This
especially
one,
business.
yeah. Yes, yes. Okay. So here's the boom, 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 boom. So
Uh,
we're at the end of the day, the end of the career. The boots are in the ring. How do you want your what do you want your legacy? How do you want to be remembered?
um, well, one thing that I could actually see happening is being the man who trained Marco Harris because I'm super proud of him. I haven't trained many people, but he's one of two, and he's just I mean, you know him. He's amazing. He's incredible, and he's so young. He's 19 years old. So like, if he can make it and really make a name for himself, like that would be one for me because we all see it.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, and there's one there. But that being said, a lot of people say I'm not qualified to train. That's probably true to this point, whatever. But someday I do want to be a trainer. Like I get a lot of satisfaction out of training, and I just being someone that gives back like that helps other people learn. I think I have a knack for it, and I enjoy it. So that'd be something I would like to be remembered as one of these days.
And one of these days, I always tell people, I was like, man, I'm gonna make a damn good agent. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I was like, you can just look at people and be like, okay, this would probably add to your whatever it may be, whatever that thing is. I always see those in people, and I'm like, man, I never like look at myself like that. I could probably make myself so much better if I gave myself the same like cool things that I tell other people.
All right.
Like,
Well, see, yeah. I get that. See, and to me, that's when using like your opponent, your creativity comes off of what they do and what they can do. So that's why it's always good to mix it up with different people and stuff like that. That's kind of the way that I approach my matches. This is why I always like to try to research and see what they're going to do and see what they can do that I can mesh with what I do.
oh yeah, because it's a great dance. And it's super. I love. Man, I love this. I love this fucking business. Oh, well, I mean, I think that's all I got for you, brother. Thank you for coming on. I'm gonna do my little outro. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the Jackson Black Show with my guest tonight, Jason Genesis. I mean, great all around dude. Thank you, Jason, for coming on, brother.
Thank you, brother. It was a pleasure. First podcast in the books.
Hey, I was number one, guys. So now all of you can interview him and get better stuff than I did. So whatever.
No, man, it was good. It was fun.
All right, thank you, brother. Let me do the outro here.